Most DevOps engineers will never reach $200,000, not because they're not skilled, but because they never get close to the position that pays it. Some reach $180,000, a few reach $200,000, most don't. And that pattern doesn't change across companies, across teams, across markets, which means it's not random, it's structural. And the difference is not effort, it's not experience, it's not even tools, it's where you sit in the system. DevOps can pay $200,000. That part is real, but it's not evenly distributed because the role is not what determines income. Position is. Demand is strong. Every company needs infrastructure. Every system needs deployment. Every product depends on uptime. That won't change. But demand alone does not create high salaries. There are roles with high demand that never move past $120,000 to $150,000 because demand is not what determines income at the top. Leverage is. DevOps sits close to failure, deployments, pipelines, production systems. When those fail, everything stops. Revenue pauses, users disappear, systems break, and that creates immediate visibility. Not delayed, not abstract, immediate. And systems pay for that kind of impact. But this is where most engineers move in the wrong direction. They focus on tools, AWS Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform. They assume knowing more tools leads to higher income. It doesn't, because tools are not the bottleneck. Position is. Tools are trainable, replaceable, scalable. Position is not. High-paying DevOps roles are not entry-level. They require trust. They require ownership. They require proximity to critical systems. And that changes everything, because junior reality is different. You don't enter DevOps at $200,000. You enter through layers, monitoring, basic automation, internal tooling, low-risk systems, and you stay there longer than expected. Because progression is not automatic, not at this level. Companies don't scale DevOps teams indefinitely. They don't need many, they need a few. A small number of engineers close to critical systems, and that creates a bottleneck. And bottlenecks create competition, not open competition, filtered competition, where access is limited, where visibility is restricted, where most people never reach the next layer, even if they are capable, even if they are experienced, because the system does not expand those positions. This is where the path splits. Same field, same title, different outcomes. Some engineers stay in execution. They maintain systems. They support deployments. They stabilize around $140,000 to $160,000. They grow, but inside a range. Others move toward control. They define infrastructure. They design systems. They influence architecture. They sit closer to decisions. And that's where $180,000 to $200,000 appears, not in the role, in the position inside the role. That's the difference. And most engineers never cross that line, not because they can't, but because they never shift position. They improve inside execution. They get better, faster, more efficient, but they stay in the same layer. And the system does not pay more for that, because execution scales. You can distribute it, replicate it, expand it. But control does not scale. You cannot assign 10 people to define the same system. You cannot distribute ownership evenly at that level. At some point, control consolidates. And where it consolidates, value concentrates. That is where higher compensation appears. This is why the ceiling feels invisible. Because from the outside, everything looks the same. Same title, same tools, same responsibilities. But inside the system, the structure is different. One layer distributes work. The other concentrates decisions. And only one of those scales into higher income. This is also why switching companies doesn't solve the problem. You may see a jump, a higher offer, a better title. But over time, the same structure appears again, because the role has not changed. Only the environment has. And the system applies the same rules. There is also a pressure layer. As compensation increases, expectations increase, visibility increases, tolerance for mistakes decreases, and responsibility becomes continuous. Which means not everyone stays at that level, even if they reach it. And that further reduces distribution. So when you see DevOps salaries near $200,000, you are not looking at a standard outcome. You are looking at a filtered layer, a position inside the system that only a small number reach, not because they are the only ones capable, but because the system only allows a few, and that's the part most people miss. If you stay in execution, your growth stabilizes. If you move toward control, your leverage increases, and leverage is what the system pays for, not effort, not tools, not even experience alone. Position. That's what determines the outcome. If you want the full system behind this, it's in the description.